Welcome to Gone Fishing, a show diving into cybersecurity threats that surround our highly connected lives. Every human is different. Every person has unique vulnerabilities that expose them to potentially successful social engineering. On this show, we'll discuss human vulnerability and how it relates to unique individuals. I'm Connor Swalm, CEO of FinSecurity, and welcome to Gone Fishing. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Gone Fishing. I'm your host, Connor, the CEO at Fin, and I am joined once again by Kelcye Blankenship-Lackland, the Channel Engagement Manager at CyberQB. How are you, Kelcye?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much. You got all the names right. I'm proud of you.
I had to slow down there for a bit to make sure I got the name and the title so I didn't just run it all together and start stuttering and make a mess of it. So
I appreciate it.
I'm very glad that I got it all out. I'm proud of myself for doing that.
Proud of you.
So we had you on a previous episode where we talked about the importance of personal brand in the MSP industry, how you should go, why you should do that in the first place, why it's valuable. Personal brand has a lot to do with being authentic and who you are. And also building a presence online has a lot to do with trends these days.
Yes.
So whether that's TikTok trends that all the kids are doing these days, things on Twitter or X, whatever it's called these days, LinkedIn, whatever's popular, if you have an opinion, if you have some unique insight, it's really important that you take advantage of that and
absolutely
put that out there. So, question I have for you, Kelcye. What is girl math?
So, girl math is definitely, it started on TikTok, and it was people, typically women, explaining how they rationalize paying for things. And a really easy example is if I paid for it with cash, no money came out of my bank account, so it was free. That's girl math.
I remember that one, and I remember that if it's less than $5, it's free.
Right. If you bought the concert tickets in December, but the concert's in April, like by the time the concert comes around, that was last year. It's basically free.
That was free. Yeah, you didn't pay for that.
You didn't pay for that. That's not real money.
What about girl dinner?
Girl dinner. I actually did a little bit of reading about it before this because I kind of wanted to figure out where the history of it all came from. And girl dinner is the sense of, at the end of the day, you're really tired. You do not have the capacity to cook anything. So you kind of have a little hodgepodge of things from your pantry and fridge. Like maybe it's a handful of nuts and a banana and 2 slices of lunch meat. Boom, girl dinner. It definitely became more of a trend of like people doing silly things. Like there was a girl who cried and just like licked her tears. And she was like, girl dinner.
I don't even have a TikTok, and yet I know of that trend.
Right. I think it's a really powerful, like TikTok as a platform because it makes it to Twitter/X. It makes it to Instagram. It takes a very long time, but it eventually makes it to Facebook.
YouTube.
And I'd say that there is a small selection of us that do bring TikTok trends into LinkedIn. They're not always appreciated, but they get brought regardless.
Are you one of those unique individuals that do that?
I'd say I've attempted for sure. I think Morgan and Jimmy have both pulled them off more successfully than I have.
What's the latest trend that you tried to pull into LinkedIn?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for this one. I think lately all my stuff's just mostly been like event and actual work focus. But I can think of one. Oh, I think that actually came from Twitter. But Jimmy posted it. Taylor Swift at the first Chiefs game she was spotted at. She had ketchup and seemingly ranch. Turns out the person who posted that had never had ranch dressing before in their life, so they weren't sure if that's what it was. But seemingly was a really fun little trend that went around for a while. Seemingly blank, when it quite obviously is that.
I'm going to be upset if you don't have a podcast title called Seemingly Kelcye.
I like
you don't know.
I don't know. I do have a cardboard cutout of Morgan's head now, so I could be Morgan.
So you could host the podcast just without her, just you and seemingly Morgan.
Maybe a little AI generated voice.
Or you could use one of those filters to put the eyes and the mouth
Just talk for her.
and just talk for her. Yeah,
Yeah, I could. That's also a TikTok thing. The green screen, eyes and mouth.
it is. And even though I'm not on TikTok, like you had said, all these trends, all these culturally relevant things make their way into the world. And
Yeah.
even people like me, people like you, and even a lot of other folks in this industry end up honestly either watching their kids do these trends or be a part of them or say them.
Yeah.
And wonder, like I do a lot of times, what's going on.
Yeah. On that note, I hate not knowing why something is the way that it is. So I'm constantly Googling, like, where did this come from? Where did this trend? Why did this start? A little bit weird, I know, but I love learning why. I was a bridesmaid recently. I Googled the history of bridesmaids. Traditionally, they wore the same thing as the bride, and they were there to distract potentially evil spirits.
I was just about to say that.
That's wild.
That's why also you say bless you when somebody sneezes. It's because it was thought of your soul momentarily leaving your body. And if you didn't say bless you, then like a demon was going to come in and inhabit your body.
Yeah. And now, you're supposed to cough to your arm.
Yeah.
Maybe that saves it. I don't know.
It keeps it from...
Where do souls, can they get out?
I don't know. I'm not an expert in souls.
Because you're partially redheaded.
I didn't even think of that as the joke, but yeah, I am. I am a redhead. Why is it important for people to take advantage of these trends?
Yeah. It's important to kind of keep up with what's trending. It makes you a little more relevant. It makes you seem a little more in the know, I'd say. I actually took a class in college about reading media critically. And one of the things we talked about was like memes. So a little bit pre like internet trends. I don't know. And part of the internet trends is that they go by so quickly that if you don't capitalize on it immediately, like there's no point, which is tough as a brand because you have approval processes and things like that things have to go through. And some trends stick around longer than others. But like for memes specifically, kind of the more haphazardly thrown together they are, the better, because by the time you finish perfecting this little image, that trend could be over. So the sloppier done, the more rushed, the more relevant it is, because it reflects the internet and trends themselves. And being relatable to your audience is obviously something that I feel like a lot of people really want to do, be that on LinkedIn or any other platform. I love being the funny guy. I'll crack a little joke here and that. Like, I love it. I tell jokes on stage whenever I'm presenting. And so being relevant and having information that it's just a little bit different. It's something that not everyone's hearing, and it's your take on something. I think it ties back to authenticity. It's showing that you are aware of what's going on and what's hip and funky. And I just think it's a really powerful bonus tool to your repertoire.
There are a lot of people, not just in our industry, but in all industries, that actually are aware of current trends. So if you didn't listen to the last podcast and you're listening now, it was all about personal brand and authenticity. And at the end of the day, people buy from people they like. And I don't know, doing funny things. I love memes personally. So doing funny things and taking advantage of that and just being a human. It's like, I am not corporate Joan 438. Right. I am Connor. You are not corporate channel engagement manager 3. You are Kelcye.
I am. You're right.
I don't know what employee. Maybe that's under the hood. That's behind the forward-facing Kelcye. But
I was employee number 21. I was Jimmy's hire number 1, and U.S. employee number 2. Jimmy was the first.
I would like to believe that's your actual title, is Jimmy's hire number 1.
I do wear that with honor.
Jimmy's hire number 1. And if all that is true and people do buy from people they like, what better way to be someone they like than to take advantage of cultural trends and be funny and be a part of it?
I mean, we live in an internet based world. Like you're seeing it, you're hearing it probably on the news, whatever you're scrolling through. Like it's good to be up with it.
And for folks listening, I have watched Kelcye give jokes to start off presentations. And the one I remember, which I don't know if it landed. I can't remember if you completely bombed, but
They landed in my head.
Oh, let me restate. Kelcye was absolutely laughing. I can't remember if the crowd was, but it was what happened to the cyber criminal that got away.
Yeah.
He ran somewhere. And then Kelcye says this and does exactly that. And like 15 seconds later, like, all right, now back to the regularly scheduled programming. Why am I here to talk to you?
Yeah. No, I started really serious. Like, did y'all hear about that? And everyone starts to get a little bit worried because they're like,
they're
did I
Googling
miss something?
most recent hacks.
Yeah. I will say they don't always laugh, but people come up to me afterwards and they're like, oh, I really liked that. I sent it to my team. I'm going to use that. So
yeah,
I have a good time. I think it's a fun little way to break the ice and tell them what to expect from me for the next few minutes that I'm on stage in front of them.
Which is an honest, authentic approach to zero standing privilege.
So true, bestie.
What piece of advice would you give to somebody who, last episode was just get started doing something, be yourself, be authentic, screw people who don't enjoy that or want to tear you down. There's a lot of people that'll tear you down.
Totally.
From experience, there's also a lot of people that'll build you up. Like
absolutely.
A case I always love to mention is a friend of mine, Adam Evans, who was deathly afraid of like speaking publicly and putting anything on LinkedIn. And then you talk to him, you're like, wow, you know so much more about all of this than I do. Is you should be the one out here talking, not me. And then everyone around him was like, no, like go do it. Go like encouraged him to have a voice and to say the things that he was thinking about. And as a result, now everybody gets to benefit from what is an insanely large depth of knowledge in cybersecurity. So where should someone get started if they're deathly afraid or just worried?
Having that village that supports you and lifts you up is super important. So definitely I'd say get involved, even if it's just with one person, that person knows other people. There are so many great sources of support within this community and outside of it. And then also mentorship, flat out ask somebody that does it. Hey, how do I get into that? Do you have tips for me? What path should I take or what should I start working towards in order to do something similar to what you're doing? I think using the other people around you to help build you up is super crucial and important.
Find your tribe. Find your tribe. Where should people reach out to learn more about you or learn more about CyberQP?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I am Kelcye Blankenship-Lackland. You can find CyberQP also on LinkedIn. We are also on Twitter/X. I am at Kelcye at work. CyberQP is at CyberQP. And they're also on Facebook, but I will say we're not super active on there.
Awesome. We will have the wonderful people in the background, the people making everything happen and keeping us on schedule. We'll make sure that there are sometimes Jamie does yell at me for taking too long. But outside of that, he does a great job.
Somebody's got to do it.
So we'll have links in the show notes wherever you're watching this or listening to this, whether that's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. We will have all of that for you to reach out to Kelcye and learn a little bit more.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for having me.
Anytime. Thanks for joining me. Wonderful having you. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks everyone for watching. And we will see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to Gone Fishing. If you want to find out more about high quality security awareness training campaigns, how to launch them in ways that actually engage employees to change their habits, then check us out, FinSecurity, at finsec.io. That's PHINSEC.io. Or click all of the wonderful links in our show notes. Thanks for fishing with me today, and we'll see you next time.